All right, guys, we are in Job 21 now. Excuse me. And this is really ramped up. This is getting into some very serious interactions here. Job's three friends have kind of subtly accused him. Job responded and called them out immediately. Not pulling any punches, not trying to be sneaky like they were. Not trying to, cover his words. He just openly told them flat out. And then so now they've responded. And they've responded rather coarsely and roughly. And now Job is now responding back. Because his last friend decided to give him a discourse on the wicked. And what was funny is that what he was saying in that chapter, which was the last chapter, he was describing himself and what the other guys were doing. Now Job is going to speak on this matter. So Job is pretty upset here. He seems like he's pretty angry, but he's tired of these guys. And he's been turning to the Lord in all this. And they have been trying to speak on behalf of God and been failing. Because they're just condemning themselves with their same speech. So now Job is going to be very, very open with them. Here in Job 21. Job's discourse on the wicked. Then Job answered and said, "Listen carefully to my speech, and let this be your consolation." So he's like, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. "Bear with me that I may speak, and after I have spoken, keep mocking." So he's upset. He's mad at them. You guys sitting here, y'all want to make fun of me, make this out like it's my fault, and basically be a thorn in my side. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think, and then you can keep mocking. "As for me," verse 4, "is my complaint against man? And if it were, why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be astonished. Put your hand over your mouth. Even when I remember, I am terrified, and trembling takes hold of my flesh. Why do the wicked live and become old? Yes, become mighty in power. Their descendants are established with them in their sight, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull breeds without failure, their cow calves without miscarriage. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They sing to the tambourine and harp, and rejoice to the sound of the flute. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Yet they say to God, 'Depart from us, for we do not desire the knowledge of your ways.'" Interesting. Just yesterday we did 2 Peter. Grow in the knowledge of Jesus Christ. "For we do not desire the knowledge of your ways. Who is the Almighty, that we should serve him? What profit do we have if we pray to him?" That's the same mentality people have today. Job is calling it out. Well, he's right too. "Indeed, their prosperity is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. How often is the lamp of the wicked put out? How often does their destruction come upon them? The sorrows God distributes in his anger. They are like straw before the wind, and like chaff that a storm carries away." Interesting, that's in the New Testament too. "They say God lays up one's iniquity for his children. Let him recompense him, that he may know it. Let his eyes see his destruction, and let him drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what does he care about his household after him, when the number of his months is cut in half? Can anyone teach God knowledge, since he judges those on high? One dies in his full strength, being wholly at ease and secure. His pails are full of milk, and the marrow of his bones is moist. Another man dies in the bitterness of his soul, never having eaten with pleasure. They lie down alike in the dust, and worms cover them." That almost sounds like the parable of rich man Lazarus. "Look," verse 27, "I know your thoughts, and the schemes with which you would wrong me. For you say, 'Where is the house of the prince? And where is the tent, the dwelling place of the wicked?' Have you not asked those who travel the road? And do you not know their signs? For the wicked are reserved for the day of doom." Interesting, that's in the New Testament too. See, we're hearing a lot of what Job is saying here, and this is all stuff we can go right to the New Testament and find the exact same thing. Verse 30 again, for the wicked are reserved for the day of doom. They shall be brought out on the day of wrath. They are reserved for that. They have their day in the sun. But that's all they have. And those of us who follow the Lord may have a rough life, but we have much more waiting on the other side. Much better. See, they get a short time in the sun and eternity in wrath. We get a short time in wrath. Not really, but I'm just using that to make the analogy. But then eternity in the sun. Who condemns his way to his face, and who repays him for what he has done? Yet he shall be brought to the grave, and a vigil kept over the tomb. The clods of the valley shall be sweet to him. Everyone shall follow him, as countless have gone before him. How then can you comfort me with empty words, since falsehood remains in your answers? So Job has just told them, I know what's waiting for you, and you know too. Look at what you're doing. You know this. I know this. How can you sit here and do this? Cover me with these empty words. Try to help me out with these empty words and these falsehoods. You don't know what you're talking about. Again, I go back to, I think his friends may have had a whole lot more knowledge about what was going on under his roofs than he did. Maybe there's some guilt here and they're trying to cover their tracks. Let me see if we can get Job to admit fault. That'll exonerate us. I don't know. I wasn't there. But there's some speech going on here that seems to indicate something was up. Something much more than these three friends just showing up out of nowhere and then attacking Job. I mean, why would they attack him? Why would they blame him unless they had some knowledge of what was going on? What would be the purpose? They have nothing to gain. Unless they had a part to play in some of that stuff. Just saying. But Job, I think, is starting to figure this out. And he's not letting them off the hook. Okay, you guys want to sit here and do this? Cool, I've got an answer for you. And he's being very upfront. He's using integrity, being very upfront, not disguising anything. Being very open. And so now, his friends are showing their true colors. People like this always do, even today. You show them the truth. You reveal to them. You call them out. Right out in the open. And they will reveal their true colors every single time. Every single person I've interacted with that's done this. Today. In this ministry that I've been doing. Every single one, always, within one or two answers, reveals their true intentions. And what their true identity is. And who they're really serving and what they're really doing. Job is no different. Job has done the same thing with his quote-unquote friends, who actually doesn't look like they are his friends. This is an incredible example of who is your true friend? The people around you or God? Because ultimately what's going to end up here is it's going to end up that God, it turns out to be his friend. Job put God first. He didn't listen to his friends. He didn't listen to his wife. He put God first. This is an extreme example of faith. That even when things got horribly bad, he put God first. I'm still curious as to why the only thing his wife had to say to him was curse God and die. I don't remember it saying anything about her mourning the death of her children. I don't remember anything happening of anybody mourning anybody that has been taken already. Seems to me they're all more worried about just getting Job out of their hair. They don't want to deal with him anymore. So again, I go back to what I originally said. Job was surrounded by people who didn't care for him. God knew this and was watching this. Satan comes along. Great opportunity has arisen for God to cleanse Job's life of all those who were his enemies and not his friends. And now they are exposing themselves to him, and he's seeing firsthand. From Job's perspective, it's a horrible event. But from God's perspective, I'm just cleansing his life, and I'm going to give him a better one. And so there's an incredible positive happening here. Not just that Job ended up double what he was before after all this is said and done, but that he now has a wife that he's going to end up with a wife that loves him and more kids. Things are going to go better. But there had to be this cleansing process first. Again, it's an example of our salvation. It's an example of what God is doing in each of us, what Jesus is doing. And we're seeing that here in one man's life. And I think a lot of us can really relate to a lot of what he's enduring. So Job has called him out. He's not cutting him any slack. He's letting him have it. You guys are going to do this. This is how you guys are going to respond to me. I'm not listening to you. So now Job, in the middle of his suffering and mourning, he is defending himself against his friends, and he's standing up for himself. Again, he's exhibiting integrity, and that's what you should be doing, even in these situations. And he's not turning away from God. Instead, what he's trying to do is ignore them and focus on God, and it's not. They're still trying to distract him. Because Satan is working in these three men, trying to get him to curse God. Satan knows he's going to lose, and it makes him mad. But this is all he can do. And Job is standing his ground, exhibiting this extremely high level of faith in God, being a loyal servant. And so Satan, what he said was going to happen, it's not going to happen. Job doesn't know it yet, but he will. He doesn't know it yet that he is proving everything that God has said true by merely living the life he's living for God. Just like I've told you guys. It's right here. Great example of it. So there's no mystery while we're in the book of Job. I think this is a great book that we should be reading. And these books need to be dug into more because there's so much more contained within them. So guys, that was Job 21. Very, very simple and to the point. I don't want to hear what you guys have to say. You guys are all nothing. And so Job is standing his ground. Then, so the next video is going to be Eliphaz is going to now open his mouth and speak again. So they're having a big back and forth here. Satan is really trying to get Job to give in. It ain't going to work. Guys, that was Job 21. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. We're in the height of it now. We're in the height of the arguing and the debating and the going back and forth. So this should be interesting to see where they end up, and from this point on, what these guys are going to say now, because they're now not hiding anything. So we'll see what they have to say. See you in the next one.